Alright friends, would you like to start making a fairy house with me? So I'm going to show you a couple of ideas, a few ideas of how you can start to make a fairy house, but really this is all about your imagination and making it your own. I just want to give you inspiration to go ahead and make your own little fairy house however you like. And it doesn't have to be for fairies, it can be for whatever you want it to be. So the most important decision when you're starting your house is it's going to be kept inside or if you're going to keep it outside. I'm going to show you how to make a fairy house that you can keep inside, and maybe you could keep it outside if you kept it under cover, but you need to use special glue and use a special spray that's really just for grown-ups if you're going to make a fairy house for the outside. So I'm going to show you how to make an inside fairy house. So you're going to need some things from recycling. Here's some ideas of some things that you can do to use to start the base of your fairy house. A milk carton like this, it already is a house shape, you see? And this is another little juice carton. It's very tiny, but it already has a house shape to it. And this is a paper cup from McDonald's. What? Who went to McDonald's? Certainly not me. All right, so this kind of cup you can turn it into a little fairy house too. I'm gonna use this little guy, I think he's gonna be the cutest. This is a job that's gonna need some grown-up help, the next job that I'm gonna show you, and that is going to involve hot glue. But it's a really important job so that you can have a lot of fun using regular glue, drippy glue, instead of the hot glue. So I'm going to show you how to do that. Alright, every family is different, and some families actually allow children to use a low melt hot glue if their family is helping them, and some don't, and that's okay. So I'm going to imagine that this is a grown-up job. So what I need your grown-up to do is to run some hot glue along the corner edges of your box or carton, and then to use some long straight sticks to glue along that edge. Okay, a bit more glue on there. And you're going to glue those straight sticks down in a nice sturdy way, like that. And you're going to put those sticks along one entire side, all the way around to make a frame. Let's do some magic here. Hold on. Wow, I did some magic. And I already went ahead and using the hot glue, I've glued the sticks all the way around the corners and the edges of this carton. I'm going to glue one more in just to show you how I measure the sticks to make sure they fit perfectly. I like to pick a nice straight stick. And then I measure the stick between the two spaces. I'm going to glue it right there. It's going to be between the two spaces. And I hold my thumb there and I give it a snap. And that will make it fit just perfectly. When I hot glue it down, I make sure I put the glue on the carton, not on the stick, because it's going to be a lot easier and safer to drop the stick in like that than to have my fingers holding a tiny stick with hot glue on it, just like that. So the reason I'd like a grown-up or yourself to do this first is we're going to put a lot of glue in here. And this will act kind of like a dam to keep the glue inside. We're going to have to use a lot of glue for this project. You could, if you don't have a hot glue gun, you could use wet drippy glue and draw a line of glue, or they call running a bead, and then insert the stick on top of that. You could absolutely do that. You'd have to let it dry at least overnight until it was completely dry to continue, but that's no problem. If you're going to do all the sides of your fairy house, you're going to need to do each side one at a time, and it will probably take you a few days to do that, to let the glue dry. If you don't want to wait that long, you can always cut out the carton and use one panel, and when you're done decorating it, you could just make a fairy door. A door that you could lay against a tree or in a special spot in your house and just make one beautiful fairy door. Let's start decorating. I've laid out all the interesting things that I found outside that I might want to use to decorate my fairy house, and I've got a big collection of sticks here, but I also have a few other things. I have some cardstock, just recycled cardstock that I could use for my house. I found this big stone, little tiny squares of tissue paper that I might want to use, leaves, all kinds of good stuff. And it's totally up to you, whatever you use, and there's no rules. If you would like your fairy house to have a real door, a good idea is to draw it first in Sharpie, and then you can either cut it or a grown-up can cut it. So let's start. I'm going to draw the window that I'd like. I'd like a window there. I would like a door here, but it's not going to be a door that opens. And then I can get a grown-up to go ahead and use an X-Acto knife to safely cut out the window, or I can do it myself. And how do I get a grown-up to help me with that? You can get a tack, you know, these thumbtacks, and you can punch holes all around your fairy door. This is actually really good exercise for your fingers as well. Poke some holes. Then you would get a pen, and you can poke a good pen, has to be nice and pointy, into one of those little holes. Then you want to use your scissors and get them in there and start cutting open. So that's a way that you can do it yourself. When I'm cutting something that's made of stiff paper like this and that's 3D, sometimes it gets a little tricky. So what I like to do is I might cut right halfway up through that shape, and it will help. I can dig my scissors in different angles and snip, snip, snip. Just try my best. Just gonna try my best and not give up. So I've gone nice and slowly. I've cut out my window, and if your carton has one of these on it, it might look like a difficult thing. But did you know that these just like rip right off? Look at that, they just pull right off. So cool. And now you have almost like a little window in there. Or if you have a regular milk carton, we'll just cover that up and make our roof. Pretty nifty. Now we've got a window. I'm going to put a door on it later that does not open, and we'll need a roof. Now this is the fun part. You're going to need a lot of white glue, of drippy white glue. And I'm going to squeeze a whole bunch of this glue into one of these sections. Thankfully, I glued the sticks all the way around, because if I didn't glue the sticks around the edge, like a picture frame, all this glue would be dripping down the sides and onto the counter. So I'm going to fill it up with glue. This is also really good exercise for your hands to squeeze like this, guys. They're going to want you to be able to use glue in grade 1, so you might as well give it a try. Now I'm done with pouring that glue in, but remember what we have to do with our glue? That's right, we have to look at the top of the glue, and Mr. Glue is going to stick his tongue out at you. Remember, we twist, 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 boop. See that little white tongue? There we go. Now it's closed and the glue won't dry out. Awesome! In this rectangle, we can decorate it however we want. This is where you want to use a lot of your treasures from outside. I have some bark here, there's some leaves, there's some stones, and if you've put a nice thick layer of white glue, whatever you put in there should stay stuck. So maybe you want to put some stones on it to make it look like it's made of wood. Or I mean, made of stone. Like it's made of cobblestone, like our fantasy castle. And you want to push them down so that they're going to be really stuck in there. Really stuck in there. And this is all about your imagination. You could make a pattern. You could sprinkle it on top, whatever you like. Now if you picked some nice thin sticks, they should be able to cut with scissors, but you can also just snap them with your fingers. And I like snapping best. It's quite fun. I'm going to put these here to make my door frame. Going up, 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 up. Nice thin door. And every once in a while, if you're really lucky, you find a stick that has a really neat shape on it. Look at this one. See how it kind of looks like the letter Y? Like the letter Y? Well, I love finding those sticks. I'm going to really make it look like a letter Y, like that. And then I'm going to take some of this top part off. so it looks more like the letter V. And I broke it a little bit. That's okay. Am I gonna cry? Goodness, no. So it looks more like a V. And I'm gonna use this one and glue it right on top to make a really fancy looking door. Oh, I like it a lot. I have to make sure that the sticks are actually in the glue though. Otherwise, they won't get stuck. Cute. Take another little, oh, I could use this little tiny alder cone. This is a cone from an alder tree, not a pine tree. I'm gonna put that in the top. Oh, that looks really nice. Okay, keep adding my stones all the way around. Now when this white glue dries, it's gonna dry clear, right? And so if there's any writing on your box, like this beautiful color, the beautiful colors on the juice box, that might peek through. You might be able to see it. So if that really bothers you, if you don't like that, you could go ahead and you could paint your box with some acrylic paint before you do this, but I'm just gonna go for it. So I put a lot of stones there, but I think I want to try something different up at the top. What do you think I should try? Yeah, there are so many good ideas. Well, this is some neat bark that I found. It's from an arbutus tree, and it's really crunchy like paper. And I think I'm going to crunch it up and sprinkle it in that section, kind of like nature's glitter. And I'm going to tap it in there so it sticks. That might look really cool when it dries. And I'll do the same on the other side. You could also, you don't have to use things from nature if you don't have access to the outside, or if it was a wet day or you just didn't have any luck finding things. You can go through your crafting supplies or see what your family has. Maybe you have buttons, ribbons, colorful tape, little bits and pieces from the workshop, or bits of like hardware, beads, stickers, anything. Beans from your kitchen pantry, seeds, good stuff like that. Ooh, this is looking nice. So I'm going to add some more sticks to my door. Again, you want to make yours look however you want. I'm going to measure, snap it. Snapping is another really good exercise for your fingers. It's going to make them really strong. That is how we get better at doing things, is we practice, we keep trying, we don't give up. Never give up, never surrender. Keep working. It's going to be a little shorter, even shorter. Do you think I could squeeze in one more tiny little stick in there? Yeah, I'm going to try. Just want it to be just the right little stick. Okay. There we go. That's that part done. I got some of this lichen too. I think it's so beautiful. And this lichen is fun. You can pull little pieces off it. You can squish it up like a little cotton ball, rolling it between my fingers like plasticine. And you can tuck it in little places that need just a little something. There you go. You can decorate the rest of your fairy house just like this, but you have to be careful around the window. The window, if you're going to use a lot of glue, the window you're going to want to glue something on top of it first, just like we did everywhere else. So you're going to want to glue a stick down with hot glue, and then go ahead and fill up the spaces. I'm going to do that right now. Okay, so I've gone ahead and I've put glue in all the spaces around the window frame that I've hot glued on. And now what I'm going to do is just keep decorating each one of these little sections. I found this really nice bark, and I think I want to use this bark. I'm going to break it and just put it all in there. And you have to make sure that your pieces are small enough to fit, but sometimes you don't know until you try if it's going to fit, and you might need to trade shapes around a little bit. See how that's a really skinny shape? I'm going to have to make sure my bark is also really nice and thin so it'll fit. And this one, maybe a little tiny bit of bark like that. There we go. That's one section covered. I wonder what I could use for the other section. How about some of these leaves maybe, or even some of these pine needles. So these needles are pretty fun to put on. I'm going to use scissors, and I'm going to lay the pine needles right on top of the glue, and then I'm going to give it a haircut. Oh my gosh, this feels so interesting. Have you ever done that? Have you ever gave a branch of needles a little haircut? Oh my gosh, they go absolutely everywhere. But a lot of them got in there. I can go ahead and pick the rest up and sprinkle them in there. That's pretty fun. I think I'll do that on the same side too. I was having way too much fun cutting those pine needles. That was really awesome. I think I'm going to put a little bit more decoration up there. So I have these cones. They're bigger than the cones from the alder tree, but they're smaller than a pine cone or a Douglas fir cone. These are hemlock cones. I'm going to add a little bit of glue to the ends of these guys. Oh, I got to make Mr. Glue stick his tongue in, just to really make sure it sticks, and then I'm going to push it down into that puddle of glue that I know is under there. More glue. Squish it down. And using a lot of glue, you can add other details too if you want to add some beautiful shells, or I have some moss that would look so cute, like a little window box in Fairyland. Remember, this doesn't have to be just for fairies. You can put this out for any little people. You can also put it out if you want some, maybe it'll be a home for some animals, don't know. Or you could keep it inside. It's just so nice to use your imagination. I like to imagine when I make little tiny houses that I'm actually tiny. You know, that I'm this small, and what would I like in a house if I was only this small? What would I like, and where would I eat my dinner, and where would I like to have a cozy bed for sleeping? All right. So you're going to want to let this dry for a good long time, and then we're going to build the roof on the top. I think I'm going to try to build the roof with you guys right now though, so I can show you. To build your roof, you're going to need some thicker cardstock paper. This one I just got from an old package. Or you can use cardboard like this. Cardboard works really well. Anything that's just a little stiffer than paper. And what you want to do first is fold it in half and test it out. So there's no real measuring for this craft. You're just going to test it out by putting it on top of the roof. I can see how big that is going to look. So my carton has a little flap here, and what I want to do is take my folded piece of paper and fold it one more time, just a little bit, push down really, really, really hard. Whoa, so hard I moved the camera. Push down really hard. Okay. And then open it up like a flying bird. See like that? So when I put it on my roof, it's going to pinch down on there, and I'm going to glue it down. For me, this roof is a little bit too wide though. I want it to be a little bit shorter. So I'm going to imagine I need to cut some of it off, give it a little haircut. If you want your roof to be fancy, you could cut fancy shapes off the bottom. If your family has those really fancy cutting scissors, you know the ones, you could use those. You can also do a lot to decorate the roof. You can put paper on it, you can glue leaves on it. That's a really beautiful thing to do as well. Watch this. If you have a bunch of dried leaves, I'm just going to cut them. Pew! 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 You could take those leaves, and using glue or tape, you can glue them all along the edge of the roof, or even all the way up. And you could do it with sticks. Another cool thing to do is to take some other ripped paper. I love ripping paper. It is so much fun, and it is such good practice for your fingers, so they get really strong. You can take ripped paper, put some glue on your roof, and then you can start laying the paper out like shingles. Like that. And then you'd put another layer on top that just covered the first layer just a teensy bit. Like that. All the way until it's all covered. However you want to decorate your roof is up to you, but when it's all decorated and dry, you're going to attach it onto the top of your carton. So you can use hot glue for this, or you can use drippy glue. Hot glue is super fast if someone in your family wants to do that for you. But if you don't have hot glue, or you want to do it yourself, you put glue on both sides. You're going to take this guy, put it on, and you're going to pinch it. To keep it stuck, you can use a clip or clothespins, just like that. There's one last finishing touch you can do to make your fairy house look absolutely beautiful and so natural, is all the glue that you can see, it looks white right now. But remember, when that glue dries, it's going to dry clear, which is good. Yay, no white. But all the design from the juice box is going to show through. Now, if you don't want that, you can use some dirt. Yep, dirt. And I'll show you how it works. Remember at school how sometimes we use glue and glitter? Well, we're going to use glue just the same, but we're also going to use dirt instead of the glitter. So let's say that you have a spot on your fairy house that has some white glue on it, and you have some beautiful stones attached, and you really want to see the stones, but you don't want to see the white glue. I have some nice soft dry soil here. I'm going to sprinkle it on just like that. And I hope you're making your fairy house outside. If it's a nice day, do it outside, because this makes a lot of a mess. Because the next thing I'm going to do is blow very gently. Look at that. The earth has only stuck to the areas where the glue is, and it's shown the beautiful stones. This is going to make your fairy house look so natural, like it just sprouted from the earth. Just like that. Tash likes it too. Did you hear Tash? She likes it too. You like it, Tash? Yeah, she really likes it. So after this dries, probably overnight, I'm going to put it back to sleep. I can work on the other sides. Yeah? Yeah, she likes it too. Thanks for making a fairy house with me. I'd love to see the pictures of yours. Thanks, friends.